Chapter 7. Her Guardian. "I can't go to the hospital again," Kalea pleaded during her morning prayers to the Creator over and over. Her prayers were answered in the form of a heaping pile of laundry, with some extra items from the more feeble and incontinent Vestals, a normal part of doing laundry in the convent. "Sorry, Kalea," Sister Scupley said. "I'm afraid you'll have to skip the hospital today. I'll send someone else in your place." Kalea dipped her head to hide her face. "Yes, sister." Of course she'd missed the hospital, but yesterday had proved the danger lurking in town, so she went to the courtyard, keeping a slow, contemplative step. She drew water out of the well. The water inside caught light from the sky and winked at her in its playful way after the bucket's splashing calmed. She tore her eyes away and focused on her task. She poured the water into the big cauldron, which waited over fresh, stacked firewood. Washing the clothes in a tub now, rather than out at the stream, might be better. She could stay locked behind the convent walls for safety. Somehow she'd have to dodge the chores which took her into town. A man who wanted to rape her lurked in town, and the forest hid an elf whose intentions weren't so obvious. She lit a fire under the big cauldron, with a rush candle bearing a flame from the kitchen, and fanned the fire to boil the water. Washing could be a life's profession. Anyone could do the simple scrubbing and beating work, but not everyone possessed the deeper knowledge of the craft. Kalea had learned a lot from the senior washing vestal here, Sister Gani, enough to make a living doing it as a layperson. Sister Gani was in her 78th year, though, so Kalea could certainly take her place at this point. At the end of the day, after the sheets and undergarments were hanging, waiting for the morning sun, she retreated to the dark corridors of the convent to the kitchen for supper. A long prayer of thanks and thoughts for the less fortunate preceded the meal, and then they ate in silence. Kalea spooned her lentil soup into her mouth in tiny bites to make it last longer. Beside her bowl was set a trencher, baked small with a tiny portion of river fish. She used the quiet hour to thank the Creator a few times over for having this to eat at all, rather than brood about there not being enough of it. The convent still stored barely enough grain and flour to make trenchers, which they used as plates for the few fish they'd caught in the river. The cook broke one of the trenchers into pieces for the lot of them to share, but the rest she broke for the poor who always waited outside for the leftovers. They didn't have many leftovers these days, but at least they could all get a bite of a trencher. Kalea dipped her trencher piece in the water to soften it so she could take a bite. When she'd eaten it down to the size of a large coin, she wrapped the remainder in her handkerchief to keep for later. During clean-up, the cook handed her the linen bag of trencher pieces, which clacked like wood when shaken, to pass on to the beggars who sat in the dying sunlight, lined against the outer wall of the convent. A few more than usual awaited. The sanctuary in Tintilly must also have minimal leftovers. Before proceeding into their company, she peeked around the outer wall's corner to make sure Kemp wasn't among them, waiting for her like a badger among rabbits. No sign of him, just a load of good folk having to live more roughly than others. "I'm sorry," Kalea said as she handed the first raggedy person a piece of trencher. "There's not enough for all of you." A beggar at the end of the line leaned forward to see past the rest of them as she talked and immediately leaned back. "Here you are," she said to the next one. "May the Creator bless you." She moved down the line, emptying her bag and saying her lines. If she couldn't go to the hospital, at least she could tend the needy here. The last beggar against the wall sat a good several feet apart from the rest. Kalea reached into her bag while he waited, twiddling his thumbs, his head hidden under a russet brown hood. Kalea's hand found a dusting of crumbs. "Oh dear, I'm so sorry," she said. "I've run out." She huffed and cast her pinched eyes over the beggar, biting her lip. How long would this famine last? She shook her head at the thought. It was in its beginning stage. She knelt beside him and opened her belt pouch for the portion of trencher she'd been saving. "May the one Creator bless—" "What?" She threw her hand over her mouth to prevent an oncoming shriek when he took his hood off. "It's you!"
Dorhen, my name's Dorhen.
I know. What in this world are you doing here? He grabbed her free hand.
Are you all right? Did he hurt you yesterday?
Kalea closed her mouth, her cheeks heating up. His long hair hid his telltale ears from the rest of the beggars, who glanced over and returned to gnawing on their trenchers.
I needed to make sure you weren't harmed.
She jerked her hand away. How did you know I'd be here? He leaned back against the wall, frowning. He must not have cared if the other beggars saw him.
I followed you last night,
he said, pointing his turquoise eyes into the red-blanketed forest.
I had to make sure you got home safe.
He slowly dragged his eyes back to hers. She leaned in, forming her most serious expression to drive the point in. I can't talk to you here, but listen, I can't talk to you at all. You have to go. Go on, as you said you would do before. You were supposed to forget about me. At the end of her statement, his frown drooped lower and his chest rose and fell heavily. If you're smart, and I'm beginning to think you're not, you won't go back to town either.
But yesterday you...
She raised her hand and then took his and slapped the ration piece into it. Thank you for coming to my rescue yesterday. She stood and rushed beside the line of beggars, back to the corner. Before turning the corner, she glanced back. He was gone. Kalea took the busiest streets to the hospital the next day. Though she had insisted on the large pile of laundry to do, Sister Gani happened to be feeling up to taking care of it. There weren't many other arguments against going to the hospital she could use besides illness, and she couldn't fake a fever. Before heading out, she paused by the confession booth. If Father Liam was in there, she could tell him about yesterday. But the elf, should she be going around announcing to anyone how an elf was following her? She'd get in serious trouble if they found out she'd been consorting with one, considering how sneaky and seductive they were known to be. If she lost her virginity in any way, voluntary or not, or if her superiors believed she had lost it, Kalea would never become a full sister of sorrow. Maybe if she told her superiors about the danger, they could send a priest to walk with her to and from the hospital. Or the sanctity of creation could take legal action against Kemp for his attack. But the elf... Kalea shook her head and walked away from the confession booth. She sweat, even in the cold spring air, on her way to the hospital. The market opened today, and though she avoided the square, she did happen to pass by Kemp along her way. In the light of day, his hair showed dirty blonde. New, glowing bruises dotted his face. His eyes narrowed on her, and he raised 2 fingers to his ears to indicate elf ears, following up with a shushing finger to his lips. Kalea ran from the area, from the maniac's grin. When the large building appeared on the next street, she dashed for its double doors. They slammed behind her, and she leaned against them to catch her breath. The hospital had emptied out a bit since the other day, especially of wealthy residents. On her way to the kitchen, she passed 2 men sitting against the wall, murmuring. One rested a rag on his head, and the other chewed on an herb the hospital workers gave patients to relieve headaches.
Did you see the Grey Knights in the square yesterday?
The man with the rag said. The chewing man responded.
I didn't. Why were they here? They're looking for a missing kid from their college. He's a Sharzian. Got exceptionally pale hair and olive skin. A handsome thing, they said. Who's the kid?
Kalea couldn't help but slow her pace to eavesdrop. The first man dipped his rag in the water bucket next to him and returned it to his head.
I don't know, but he's important. They're offering money. 6,000 silvers.
The other man paused in his chewing to whistle.
I haven't seen a full-blooded Sharzian since my trip to the coast. Them rich folk don't come out to the country too often. Peel your eyes, man. He'll be easy to spot.
Kalea moved on. Farther toward the back of the building, a frightful commotion echoed from one of the side wings. She wandered in that direction, bypassing the kitchen door out of plain curiosity. A man's voice roared, stopping Kalea mid-step, and a priest's murmuring voice filled the pauses between screams. The corridor wound around and descended into a colder, darker underground atmosphere. After a distance, candle sconces lit the way. The The hospital staff kept the dead bodies down here to wait in the cold air to be buried. A larger group than last time waited now, possibly some of the poor old folk she had helped feed on her last visit. She walked between the rows of bodies, covered by white sheets, toward the back room, where the screams were exponentially louder. A half-open door showed a brighter light where several people gathered in the room. Kalea nudged the door open a little more. The people stood gathered around a man on a bed. The smell of sulphur and vomit wafted out, and she coughed and hunched over, taking her face away from the open door for a moment. Lying on the bed, the man's eyes wandered wildly. He lurched whenever he got the chance, but 2 town guards stood by to restrain him.
Tie his hands to the posts,
Father Rayam said.
This will get worse as we progress.
Another priest went around the bed with a piece of chalk to the floor, drawing the flower-like circle of the one creator.
This pattern will keep other demons from getting too close and interfering with our rituals,
Father Rayam told the younger priest next to him, an exorcist in training. Froth dribbled out of the possessed man's mouth.
How could this have happened to him?
The lesser priest asked Father Rayam.
It didn't happen recently. He could have been living with it for a while, sharing his mind with this demon. In order to cure him, we'll have to find out what type of demon it is. It's not a pixie. We know as much from his wildness.
The young priest shuddered as the possessed man bucked and screamed and slobbered while the guards finished tying him down.
Thank the Creator it's a lesser demon,
the young priest said.
Indeed. Not only do pixies bring a level of sophistication, making the possession hard to spot, but it would mean death for this man. We'd have to burn him.
Shuddering to herself, Kalea shrank away from the door and closed it to prevent the noises from bothering the residents above. For the moment, she stood shivering in the cold air. As she walked back through the long rows of dead bodies, one of the corpse's hands moved under the sheet. Kalea jumped. Oh, Creator! She lunged toward it as soon as the fright wore off. You're alive! Kneeling beside the person, she uncovered their head. Dorhen. Her teeth clenched and his name tumbled out as a growl. You were following me again! He smiled, stretched out on the cold floor.
Sorry. What in the world is going on in there?
She pointed her finger at his face. Why? I want to know why. What do you want from me? His smile dropped and he sat up.
I'm worried about you.
You don't even know me.
But still, yesterday you were,
He sighed and looked across the room, appearing much like he had yesterday evening with the beggars, as if he himself didn't know. But he knew. The answer hid somewhere in his slow brain, known or not, and Kalea would find it once and for all, as well as how to get rid of him. Listen. His eyes snapped back to her. You're going to walk me home today. His smile returned in the dim light. His reflective eyes brightened too. And you will answer to the fullest every question I ask you.
Gladly.
But don't let yourself be seen. He nodded sharply. And if I get in trouble again, you'll protect me.
Of course I will.
Her cheeks heated as she stood. Better hide yourself. He reached back and drew up his hood. Not the brown hood, but a blue one that also emerged from under his mantle. As soon as the blue hood settled over his head, he disappeared. Kalea gawked and blinked. He really disappeared. The sheet over his lap remained hovering over thin air before flying off and falling into a bunch on the floor. Disregarding where he now stood or whatever he might do while invisible, Kalea went through the door to start her work. There was no guessing where Dorhen lurked all day, as Kalea did her rounds with the residents. She tried to push him out of her mind, but his eyes touched her like tickles of imaginary feathers in the air. Or at least her imagination did. Walking from here to there, or sweeping the floor, she caught herself looking into shadowy corners for the elf who no doubt waited for her to finish her work, no doubt ready and anxious to carry out her request. The image of his eyes brightening right before his vanishing trick stayed suspended in her memory. Father Liam, who gave the sermons at their convent sanctum, had once lectured on how eyes can say a lot. When someone was innocent, it showed in their eyes. The same went for the guilty, who might display a lack of light or life in their eyes. If Father Liam's message was true, Dorhen might be safe to speak with. She needed to be sure he could be trusted to walk her home without pulling some trick or attacking her once they got to the forest. Eventually, she caught herself humming her favourite hymn, already forgetting her self-consciousness about the elf's eyes. She couldn't worry about Dorhen as much as she worried about Kemp walking into the hospital, or the way his eyes had probed her this morning on her way to work. In fact, she no longer worried about him because an invisible guardian watched over her now. At the end of the day, she hung up her apron, put her stern expression back on, and walked out the large double doors. She traversed the streets as if she were alone, mouth clamped shut, eyes locked forward in a prideful way. She wouldn't look at the ground to see if an extra pair of footprints stamped themselves beside or behind her, even when curiosity nagged her to do so. As soon as she reached the quieter outskirts of Tintilly, she asked, "Are you there?" A soft, deep voice answered back,
"Yes,"
practically at her shoulder. "I think it's safe to have our conversation now. Where did you come from?" His disembodied voice responded eagerly.
"I was born in Nor. These days I don't have a home. I walk around the Lightlands."
"Why don't you have a home?"
"Because Arius Medalis tells me to walk. He tells me where to walk, when to rest, and when to start walking again."
"Who is Arius Medalis?"
"He's like a father. I've known him since childhood."
"Where is Arius now?"
"His name is Arius Medalis. You have to say it like that."
Dorhen's tone softened.
"I don't know where he goes when he leaves me. I don't know where he is now."
Reflexively, Kalea checked her side, forgetting she'd only find thin air. She inspected the road again to make sure they wouldn't encounter any people who'd hear her talking to nothing. The Sisters of Sorrow got enough unfair assessment from lay people. She didn't need to strengthen their belief about the Vestals being a bunch of loony girls. "So why does he tell you to walk? And why don't you have a home? Can't you live in Nor?"
"No,"
Dorhen said.
"I'm forbidden to return to Nor. Arius Medalis warns me how humans can harm, so I can't stay in any human place either."
Well, he's right, basically. Elves are outlawed here because of an old war. They still don't like elves. And yet, here you are.
"You think I'm not smart?"
"Yes, in a way." She tightened her jaw. Perhaps she shouldn't have said that, but it had come out too fast. "I mean, you saw what happened when they caught you stealing. If I hadn't been there, you could be dead."
"I'm glad I did it."
Kalea stopped walking. Dorhen appeared beside her, his eyes fixed on her. He stood about half a head taller than she. His straight brown hair hung heavy despite the gentle breeze, framing his face, which showed no sign anywhere of a 5 o'clock shadow. His fingers lingered on the blue hood inside his ordinary brown one. He dropped his hands to the sides. His stare was too much. Be invisible again. Kalea walked on. They weren't out of town yet. Footsteps pattered to catch up to her. When she glanced back, he had disappeared again. "Now, I want to know why you're still here. I remember clearly that on the day we met, you said you weren't supposed to be seen, and you were leaving the area. You haven't."
"I don't want to."
"Why?"
"Because of you."
Her cheeks warmed up again. She stroked a lock of hair lying on her shoulder to cover any indication of her embarrassment. "What's so special about me?" She batted her eyes and turned her face away from the sound of his resonant voice.
"I don't know. I couldn't get you off my mind after first meeting you. I tried. I walked a good 10 miles away. I came back, and I'm glad I did. I found you again in town when that man..."
Kalea sighed. "Look, I helped you out at first, and you helped me in return. Can't we call it even? Don't you have to move on because of Arius
Medalis. Your words make sense, Kalea. They were my words, too. But look, here I am. I'm worried about you. What if that man attacks you again?"
"I don't know. I'll have to tell my superiors about him. But when I tell them, they'll also know about you. Kemp will tell everyone about you, even if they don't squeeze it out of me. You have to leave this area, and forget about me.
I can't.
Kalea sighed again, and her hands balled into fists at her sides. You are not smart.
I know I'm not.
So, what? You're going to follow me around forever? She yelled the question, and then remembered to keep quiet. They drew near to Tintilly's west side entrance. The town, though growing in size, didn't have a wall surrounding it like the larger cities near the borders. The sleepy town sat nestled in a rural area, close to other small towns in the heart of the Lightlands. They had been established during a long, peaceful period, which hadn't warranted any walls. But times would soon change. The famine would cause a rise in hunger, leading to anxiety, leading to desperation, and onto crime, both organised and chaotic. New bandit gangs would form, and these little towns would need more security. The roads between them would become even more dangerous than they were now.
I can walk you to the hospital and back. I won't let anyone bother you.
That's the stupidest thing I've heard all day. They'd catch you eventually. He grunted softly, and her words echoed in her head like a rake against a stone wall. Her comment was reflexive. It might be the perfect time for a personal guardian, as long as he was honest and genuine. Okay, listen. I can't make you leave this town. If you must follow me, do it without being seen. And if you get caught, we don't know each other. I can point a finger at you as easily as I can at Kemp.
Of course.
He stayed quiet as they walked through the gate, past the town watchman. The road wound up and around the rolling hills, and into the towering pine forest on the horizon. A long way into the field, Kalea said, I have more questions before we get to the convent.
Yes.
He appeared beside her, attentive as ever. I'm going to be blunt. She shifted her eyes to him. He practically walked sideways to keep his attention on her. Is there anything you expect from me?
No.
So you won't talk to me?
Not if you don't want me to.
All right. Anything else?
Like what?
Like, for instance, you're not going to try to seduce me, or attack me like Kemp did. Dorhen's face went long, his mouth opening and his eyebrows rising.
No, I would never.
His eyebrows turned downward.
You think I would?
Kalea looked away and opened her hands wide.
I told you, you don't even have to talk to me.
You've made it hard not to talk to you already.
Well, I'll stop starting now.
Not until I'm done asking you questions. From then on, Dorhen walked with his eyes forward and his mouth tight. The bridge of his nose stood out strong, the tip pointing forward as if to say wherever he was going, he meant it. Isn't there a girl elf you have back home?
I don't have a home, and I don't know any other elves.
He said it without looking at her. Kalea's shoulders deflated. Sorry I asked, but I had to. When you're a woman, you have to worry about who is nice and who's not. Especially when you're at the fertile age and unmarried. Especially, again, if you want to be inducted into the Sisters of Sorrow. Kalea frowned and shook her head, watching the path winding into the trees ahead. Wicked men like Kemp think the best way to get their pleasure is with a virgin. They'll take any chance they can find to deflower one.
What is that?
His voice lost its strong edge. He slid his eyes toward her, but didn't keep them there. What's what?
The Sisters of Sorrow.
The tension building at the back of her neck at the thought of having to explain to him what a virgin was vanished. It's a religious faction for women who aren't good for marriage because they're mentally ill. Our parents put us in the convent to give us the best life possible for our unique situations. Once I'm a full sister, I can have a lot of privileges and do a lot of good for the community.
What is mentally ill?
It has a lot of variations. Basically, it has to do with a person's mind being unhealthy. I'm called mentally ill because from a young age I used to get distracted by the water. I could see faces in it. Her throat closed up. She'd never been sensitive about her problem before, but a new hurt sparked. Possibly because the problem had recently returned. She thought she'd been cured. I've always seen these faces. It's one face, I mean. Actually, it changes, but I know it's the same person. If it can be considered a person. I used to get so mesmerized. It made me feel safe. Dorhen grabbed her arm and put himself in front of her, forcing her to meet his eyes. The shock filled her core with a turbulence she couldn't quite place. His strong hand gripping her arm sent a jolt of carnal excitement through her abdomen.
Kalea.
Gaping, she slapped his hand away. "Don't grab me! Don't touch me!" she yelled, not caring if anyone heard her now. He raised his hands by his head as she turned away and rubbed her arm, willing the tingles to leave her core. That must have been elven magic. With the use of magic, he did mean to seduce her. If not today, eventually he would. He'd keep feeding magic into her until she believed the idea was hers. That little taste of it was strong. Good thing she hadn't gotten locked into his eyes when it happened. "Leave me alone!" She took off at a run.
Kalea, wait!
He ran after her.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Her heart pounded in her ears. She whimpered as she sprinted, frantic not to let him grab her again. Once in the forest, she huffed as the path inclined up a gentle hill. "Help!" she cried. His voice echoed behind her.
Please stop!
She didn't. When the path levelled off, she ran on against all exhaustion until her lungs struggled to fill. She grabbed a tree beside the path and used it to stay on her feet as well as propel herself to the next tree. At the area where the ground sloped into a valley beside the path, her foot slipped on the pine needles and she tumbled down. Dorhen gasped from the road above.
I'm coming, don't move.
She rolled a long way and by chance didn't hit any trees. When she slowed to a smooth stop at the bottom, her breaths came short and weak and her vision darkened. She fell asleep. Her eyelids fluttered open again to a soft breeze fanning against her. The orange sky beamed behind the treetops. A distant man's voice, not Dorhen's, called from above.
Kalea!
She couldn't call back in her heavy daze. At least she could breathe again.
Oh no.
Dorhen's voice resonated beside her. Strong hands scooped her up and her head flopped against a warm chest. A warm, masculine scent tantalized her nose, and his long hair tickled across her face as they moved. They travelled upward at a dizzying pace. Kalea reached her hand around his neck for stability.
Don't worry,
he said softly over her face.
I'll get you home. I know where it is now.
Kalea closed her eyes and endured the movement, inhaling his scent. When she opened her eyes again, she was curled up at the gate of the convent. The sun had set completely, and Dorhen had disappeared with it, replaced by Father Liam standing over her. He carried her all the way to her bed in the dorm. Kalea awakened to the bright sun beaming through the windows.
Well, good morning,
came Father Liam's voice. He sat on the floor beside her mattress. Father, where is everyone? He twisted around to survey the large dorm room full of empty made beds.
Oh, they're all at their afternoon prayers about now.
Kalea stirred, and he placed a hand on her shoulder.
Don't get up so fast.
Why did I sleep so long? I have things to...
Not today, child. You had another fright last night. I assume you got lost again and panicked, though you did make your way back when you collapsed at the gate. I don't think you were there long before I found you. Kalea.
Still a bit dizzy, she eased back onto her pillow. Yes?
I told them you won't go to the hospital anymore. Twice getting lost is too much. And we're all too busy to send you girls in groups or escort you.
That's probably better. I'll miss it, though.
I know.
Maybe I can go again after a while. Father Liam smiled.
We'll talk about it.
He stood.
Stay in bed today.
I can't. Kalea worked back up to her elbows. I have to do the laundry. Sister Garni can't do it all herself.
I'll let you sort it out with her. But listen, Kalea.
She paused in her struggle to regard him.
Go slow. Sister Scupley said you were dehydrated and hungry. So stay here. We'll get some food and water in you before you try anything else.
He pointed at the pitcher and cup beside her bed. Yes, Father. He turned for the door. Wait, Father. Words she wanted to say whirled around in her head and a line to come out. Kemp attacked me the other day. An elf attacked me last night. And now he's following me. He won't leave me alone. He cast a spell on me.
What do you need, Kalea?
Her hand still hovered in the air from when she called him. Her thoughts still whirled. I have many feelings about the elf, and I don't know why. His name is Dorhen. I can't get his name out of my head. She uttered, I don't think I can be a Vestal. I don't think I can get up, she actually said. I think I'll stay in bed today. Father Liam's smile broadened.
It's recommended. I'll get you some soup.
Kalea's pounding heart drowned out the sound of his footsteps. She began to sweat with the onset of nausea. It was merely dehydration. She hadn't gotten many drinks of water yesterday while she worked at the hospital. Her hands shook. She pushed herself up on one hand to drink from the full cup of water left for her. She lay back down while the ceiling spun above her. Every time she closed her eyes, Dorhen's turquoise stare flashed in the darkness. Why couldn't she tell Father Liam about Dorhen, especially after he had grabbed and cast his spell on her? Nonetheless, her problem appeared to be solved. She didn't have to go to the hospital anymore. But how long would the spell last? She opened her eyes to let the bright spinning ceiling flood her vision and wash away the image of Dorhen's face. It didn't work. His smell rushed back to her memory to make things worse. She'd have to tell Father Liam about him soon, or the elf would never go away. He had said it himself.
I can walk you to the hospital and back. I won't let anyone bother you.
But why? She murmured aloud. She was a novice sister of sorrow. She couldn't love him back if that's what he wanted, love spell or no love spell. Lying flat, she put her hands to her aching heart. She sat up again. Doing work should help her focus, or this sickness would kill her. After eating the lentil soup Father Liam had brought, she staggered out of bed, dressed, and staggered outside despite the novice and elder Vestal's protests. Some good, vigorous work would fight the spell. She splashed her face with some cold water from the washtub. It helped a little to energize her. Kalea, stand back and let me... Kalea pushed Sister Gani's hand away as the old Vestal attempted to take one of the garments soaking in her tub. Please, sister, I need to do this. Why don't you go rest? The old woman stood wringing her hands. Someone's got to watch you, girl. Kalea forced a smile. I'm fine. Look at me. I'm just glad I didn't have to go to the hospital today. I missed washing. Sister Gani's baggy old eyes narrowed as she turned to study Kalea. All right? Well, shout if you feel ill again. Yes, ma'am. I know they'll hear me from the kitchen. Sister Gani hobbled away, wiping her hands on her apron. Kalea could finish the last load and hang all of it up to dry, which Sister Gani couldn't do so well with her frail body. At least this peaceful work gave her plenty of time to think. She could talk herself into telling Father Liam about Dorhen. There weren't many ways she could think to get rid of him herself. She could scream at him, but he was so persistent about staying around. Screaming might not work. Whatever screaming she had done yesterday hadn't worked. No other choice beyond telling her superiors presented itself. It didn't take long to finish the washing and move on to the hanging. She stopped to rest every few moments. All the bending and standing did no good for her dizziness. A few more sheets and she'd be done. Supper wasn't far off, and she didn't want to be late for getting more food into her stomach, as little as it would be. In her eagerness to finish, she grew light-headed after several rounds of stooping and standing. She stumbled with a faint moan and teetered. A pair of strong hands steadied her. "Father," she said, sighing, "I wasn't overexerting myself, I swear." Standing on her own feet again, she turned to thank Father Liam. Dorhen stood there instead. Too woozy to scream, she gasped and tried to leap away. When she stumbled, he threw his arms around her waist.
"Don't be afraid. Relax,"
he said. "How did you get in here? We have a wall around this place for a reason." He retrieved the little stool and placed it inside the walls of hanging sheets before guiding her onto it.
"Sit down,"
he said, keeping his voice low, though it retained a sense of authority. He remained visible for now and sat on his knees before her, his eyes large and concerned.
You must think I'm a scab by now.
I've been planning to tell them about you.
Please don't.
He raised his hands, palms out.
I don't mean to scare you so much. What can I do to make you unafraid of me?
You can start by giving me a straight answer. Why do you keep coming back? He seemed reluctant to answer.
Because of you, Kalea.
What is it about me?
Your hair. It's brown. And the sound of your voice makes me want to come closer to you. There's something about you.
Kalea put a hand to her chest as she listened.
I'll be no trouble, I promise.
Didn't you say Aureus Medalis makes you walk? Dorhen closed his eyes. His throat apple bounced as he nodded.
I'm finished walking.
Has he returned?
No.
What would happen if he returns and beckons you and you don't obey?
I don't know. I've never wanted to disobey him before. Not to say I haven't. I have, and when I get him mad enough, he has ways of putting images in my head. I can't even...
He closed his eyes and swallowed again. If you want to stay around so bad, you could consider training for the priesthood. The ridiculous idea made her smile and she covered her mouth. But you'll have to cut all that hair off and have a tonsure instead.
Yes, I'll do it. I'll do anything to be near you.
He bowed his head to the ground as if she were a queen sitting on a throne. Kalea scowled. I was joking. You can't join the priesthood solely to be near me. That would be wrong. Nonetheless, she laughed as the image materialized in her mind. Dorhen, in a robe, with his ears sticking way out to the sides, uncovered by any hair, and a big shaven bald spot on his pate. She carried on laughing for a bit, and he peered up through his eyelashes. Tears streaked his face. His eyes were cloudy with moisture, hopeless. He offered no more words. Kalea's laughter died, and her smile followed. You really mean it? He did nothing more in response. She couldn't laugh anymore, even if she wanted to. What can I do? You're an elf and a male, and I'm a novice vestal. He remained staring at her, pleading with her, his tears still running and his hands planted on the ground. Apparently, he could produce no good solutions to his strange dilemma. Well, she said, you do make me feel safe when I know you're near. He raised his head a bit more.
I do?
Yes, I must admit. Sometimes. Doubting thoughts crept in after her statement. It didn't make sense. Though the statement was true, his grabbing her yesterday, paired with the notion that he had cast spells on her, battled the paradoxical feeling. He blinked as he drew in a long breath. His tears had stopped. Dorhen, I have a quandary.
What's a quandary?
It's a problem. She crossed her arms under her breasts. Did you cast a spell on me? He shook his head.
I don't know any spells.
So, how do you turn invisible? He tugged his blue hood from inside the brown one.
It's a spelled hood. Aureus Medalis made it. Otherwise, I can't do any magic.
I see. You seem fond of me, though.
I am.
He bowed his head again. Stop doing that. It feels wrong. You should bow to the one creator and no one else. He raised his head again, but remained planted on his hands, faithful as a dog. What kind of person is Aureus Medalis if he can make a magic hood?
He's a fairy at the level of fairy major.
Dorhen and the waving sheets around them blurred in her vision. Her voice trembled out. What did you say? Her dizziness returned.
Kalea,
Dorhen said.
I didn't only come here to grovel at your feet. I have to tell you an important thing before you banish me from yourself forever.
What have you to say? Saving Dorhen had been the wrong choice. He'd bring fairies and demons into her safe little world. He could endanger the whole convent. Her breath caught, ready to let out a scream. They'd call the guard and have Dorhen hauled away, and then Kalea could get on with her life once and for all. No more love spells to plague her with him gone.
You're not mentally ill.
She cancelled her impending scream. His eyes brightened again, and his cheeks were drying, but his eyelids were still red. What?
I thought you should know. You're not mentally ill. I see those faces in the water, too. It's Aureus Medalis.
You're trying to fool me. He lurched to grab her hand, but cancelled the action, instead grabbing air and clenching his fist.
No, I'm not. Arius Medalis shows up full body for me, but sometimes he appears as a face in the water. He's a water spirit. He's not harmful. This means you're not mentally ill. You're normal.
I wouldn't call seeing spirits normal.
Call it what you want. You have the gift of being able to see him. I understand most humans can't see beings like him. Not so easily, at least.
So, Kalea pointed to her chest, we have Arius Medalis in common. Dorhen bobbed his head rapidly like a child would. His smile returned after such a long absence. Kalea frowned deeper. This isn't good.
Why not?
Why not? Because we can't trust stray spirits like fairies who fly around causing mischief.
You're right, but Arius Medalis is special.
How?
He rescued me from danger.
Is that why you wander around with him? Where are your parents? His smile wilted.
My mother's dead. My father murdered her. He set our house on fire and she burned up in it.
Kalea covered her mouth with both hands.
If Arius Medalis hadn't been there to spirit me away to a safe place, my father probably would have killed me too.
Dorhen's eyes dulled as he recounted his past, as if he'd already cried plenty about it and couldn't cry anymore. The turquoise fire in his eyes had been doused into black holes by an old emotion harboured deep inside. He waved a hand at whatever horrified expression she was making.
It's all right. It happened a long time ago.
How long?
I was about 6.
Oh, dear Creator.
I'm 22 now, and have come a long way. Arius Medalis taught me how to survive in the forest, how to catch fish, and which plants and insects are safe to eat. He also made this magic hood. He knows I can't settle anywhere outside of Nor because I'm an elf. He keeps me walking in circles around the Lightlands, altering my path every season.
Kalea wiped her eyes, restraining any more tears. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. I can survive. Arius Medalis chose me, and you being able to see him in water means he chose you too.
For what?
Who can say?
The sun was waning, and voices at the door murmured to each other before calling. Kalea, are you all right? Yes, she called back. I'm finishing up. I'll be in soon. Supper's about ready, girl. Thank you, sister. She turned back to Dorhen and grabbed his hand from where it rested on his knee. He paused in awe to watch their 2 hands in contact. Dorhen, Kalea said, tomorrow I'm going to wash my loads at the creek. Do you know where the dam is?
Yes.
Good. Meet me there.